What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to give you my Week 13 New Year's Six Bowl projections here for the 2023 college football season. Earlier today, I gave you my playoff projections earlier today in the afternoon. If you haven't seen those playoff projections, go back and watch that video. Now we're doing the opposite. We're going to give you my New Year's Six Bowl projections here for week number 13. Again, we got rival week starting up tonight. We got Mississippi State taking on Ole Miss, and then continuing on with, Friday night games. Pretty much, Friday, it starts in the afternoon, and then, of course, it would continue all the way until nighttime. And then mainly we got those Saturday games. So we're heading into rival week. We got a lot of games coming up here. So that's the reason why I'm doing these New Year's Six Bowls today instead of, on Friday, because all the games, on Friday are starting a little bit early. So we're going to give you my New Year's Six Bowl projections here for Week 13. Again, how this video works, we're mainly just focusing on 4 out of the 6 New Year's Six Bowls. I'm also going to include my playoff projections from earlier. And again, if you haven't seen that video, go back and watch it if you have not seen it yet. And also, we are just basing it off, like I said, 4 out of the 6 New Year's Six Bowls. And again, the New Year's Six Bowls are a lot different this year with, the changes and everything. There's 3 at-large bowl games this year, and then 1 bowl game stays the same. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But let's get right into my New Year's Six Bowls here for Week 13 of the 2023 college football season. We'll start here with the playoff projections that I had from earlier. And we'll start with the Rose Bowl. I got Florida State and Michigan here in the playoff semifinal, the number 3 versus number 2 matchup. Like I said earlier, I think Michigan defeats Ohio State this Saturday, gets in there as a number 2 seed in the playoff with a win over, maybe Iowa in the Big Ten championship, because I don't think Iowa's offense can have what it takes to get past this Michigan defense. I think Michigan's offense will pretty much dominate the defense of Iowa as well. I know Iowa's been pretty solid on defense, but their offense is just the reason why I think Michigan is going to win so easily. And then Florida State, I still have faith in this team, even without Jordan Travis out for the rest of the year. I mean, you look at them, I think they'll beat Florida this Saturday, even though it's on the road. But if they lose that game, that's going to be definitely chaos going into the playoff rankings, definitely next week. But, Florida State here, they're still my pick to win the ACC championship, even without Jordan Travis as well. So I think Florida State, is going to run the table in the ACC. But again, I'm going to make those conference championship predictions next week. So again, this is my Rose Bowl projection from earlier, from the playoff semifinals matchups. Let's now go to the other playoff semifinal and playoff projection, and that is the Sugar Bowl. I got Oregon and Georgia here. So Oregon and Georgia, no change here. I got Oregon winning the Pac-12 championship, and you look at this team, they have played really solid football in the last few weeks. They've been red hot on both sides of the football, especially on the offensive side of the football. I think defensively, they've been pretty dominant as well. Bo Nix has been playing pretty well. And again, when I look at this Oregon team, they have definitely, look like a playoff contender. And again, that just really leans me toward Oregon in the Pac-12 championship against Washington. And I think that will be enough to get Oregon into the Pac-12 championship as well, or maybe also into the college football playoff if they were able to defeat Washington. So Oregon here was my number 4 seed earlier in the playoff projections. And then looking at Georgia, I still think this team is going to win the SEC championship against Alabama. I mean, it's going to be like a really tough game now when I look at that game between Alabama and Georgia, but I think Georgia is still going to run the table. I think they'll definitely beat Alabama so far. I mean, like I said, I'm leaning towards Georgia so far more than Alabama, but like I said, I got those, predictions, those conference championship game predictions next week. So be sure to stay tuned for those predictions, and I might change my pick here. But again, Georgia, as of right now, is my pick to win, in the SEC championship against against the Alabama Crimson Tide. So again, this is my Sugar Bowl projection from earlier in the playoff semifinals. Let's now go to the regular New Year's Six Bowls now, 4 out of the 6 New Year's Six Bowl games. And we'll start here with the Cotton Bowl. I got Missouri and Penn State. Missouri, this team is ranked number 9 in the playoff rankings. I think they'll definitely make a New Year's Six Bowl. I do have them winning against Arkansas this weekend. Even though it's a rival game, you never know what can happen. But I think, Missouri is going to go 10-2. And I think that will be enough for them to be that 3rd best team in the SEC behind Georgia and Alabama. And you look at Missouri's resume, they have really good losses to some really good teams on their resume. The 2 losses, of course, come, to obviously, Georgia. They didn't really get beat badly in that game, but, Missouri, again, they just have a pretty good chance to make a New Year's Six Bowl. This team is really solid, again, coming off a really close win against Florida, but, they were able to win that game. So this is who I have in my Cotton Bowl. And on the other side, Penn State, I got them in there as the third best team in the Big Ten East, behind Michigan and Ohio State. Again, I think their resume is good enough with those two really good losses to Michigan and Ohio State, even though they did not look good against Rutgers last week. But I think this Penn State team at 10-2 will be able to get to a New Year's Six Bowl. So again, this is who I had in my Cotton Bowl last week, and I also got this one for this weekend. And I think I like to see this matchup. Two really good defensive teams here going at it. This is my Cotton Bowl projection. Moving on to the Fiesta Bowl, I haven't made a change here for a very long time. I got Washington still and Tulane. Washington, I do have them losing the Pac-12 championship right now. I mean, just because based off of what Oregon has done this year, ever since that loss to Washington for Oregon, they have definitely looked better than Washington, to be honest. I mean, Washington, I think, has definitely played like a really tough schedule kind of compared to Oregon. But, you look at Washington, I think, that's the game where they're going to choke in, and that is the Pac-12 championship. I think Oregon's going to be out for revenge on this Washington team, but even with one loss, I think Washington's still going to make a New Year's Six Bowl, and I think this is the bowl, the game that they'll end up in, and that would be the Fiesta Bowl. And then looking at Tulane, Tulane was ranked number 23 in the playoff rankings this past Tuesday night, so I think Tulane is going to get in there as the only Group of 5 team that can make it into a New Year's Six Bowl, even though Liberty is ranked and undefeated. I don't think Liberty and James Madison University are getting really a bunch of respect from the committee based off of what they've been doing this year. I know James Madison just lost this past week to Appalachian State. That's a pretty average loss for James Madison. Appalachian State's not a really bad team. But you look at Tulane, I think this is the only Group of 5 team that's going to make it in here. They did it last year, so I think they'll get in there this year. I don't think the committee is going to allow, Liberty to get in there as an undefeated team. So this is my Fiesta Bowl projection. Again, no change here, Washington and Tulane. Moving on to the Peach Bowl, I still got this projection here. I got Texas and Ohio State. Texas, I think, they'll win the Big 12 championship. That's my prediction as of right now. Depending on who they play, it's kind of like a three-way tie there in the second place spot for the Big 12 championship. And again, it's going to come down to the second place spot for this weekend on Rival Week. Who's going to get in? I mean, who's going to play Texas in the Big 12 championship? That is obviously going to be the question. But looking at Texas now in the last 3 weeks, they definitely have been inconsistent. Not saying they're really inconsistent, but they just have been a little bit inconsistent. They've had some close calls. Kansas State was a pretty close call. TCU was a pretty close call, and then this past weekend they were only up 6-3 at the half against Iowa State. So you have to be a little bit concerned for Texas maybe heading into the Big 12 championship, but they do have a tough game coming up this weekend against their rival Texas Tech. Actually, that game is coming up tomorrow night, I should say. So Texas here, I still got them going to the Big 12 championship, and I also got them winning it as of right now. But whoever they play, I could change my pick just based off of the fact that Texas has kind of been inconsistent now these last few weeks. And then on the other side, Ohio State, I do have them losing. My prediction was Michigan beating Ohio State this weekend. I know Ohio State has played really solid on the defensive side of the football, but again, I think defensively, I think Ohio State's going to have a hard time stopping the run of Michigan. I just really trust Michigan's running backs a little bit more. I also trust, Michigan's defense a little bit more. But like I said, that game is going to be a dogfight tomorrow afternoon. Or actually on Saturday afternoon, I should say, at noon Eastern time. That game is going to be a dogfight. We're going to find out how good Ohio State is against a good team like Michigan. But like I said, it's going to be a dogfight in that game, so watch out for this one. Again, Ohio State and Texas, though, this is a matchup I would love to see. You got Ohio State will probably, end up being at 11-1. They'll be able to make it to a New Year's Six Bowl. And then Texas here, I still got them winning the Big 12 championship. But as of right now, we don't know who Texas is playing. We don't know who's going to be playing Texas in the Big 12 championship. Again, it's a three-way tie there for the second place spot. So again, this is my Peach Bowl projection here. No changes to the Peach Bowl projection from last week. And then we move on to my last New Year's Six Bowl game here, and that is the Orange Bowl. I still feel very confident in this matchup. I got Alabama and Louisville here in the Orange Bowl. Alabama losing the SEC championship as of right now to Georgia, being that second place spot in the SEC. And then looking at Louisville, they'll be that second place team in the ACC. Louisville has definitely been a big surprise this year. I really did not see them coming, to be like a 10-1 team at this point. And first-year head coach Jeff Brom, I believe, has done a really good job. And then you look at Alabama; they have been a lot better team, than a lot of these other teams in the country. Maybe besides Georgia, maybe besides Michigan, but you look at Alabama and the whole entire SEC. I mean, they definitely have been better than LSU. They have definitely been better than Texas, to be honest. Alabama just looks like a better football team compared to the first half of the season. And I think Jalen Milroe has been playing his best, ever since the last few weeks as well. I think Alabama's going to take care of business this week. I don't really see them struggling against Auburn, especially when it's on the road. And I think Louisville beats Kentucky this weekend, but that's definitely not going to be an easy game there. But I do feel very confident that this matchup is going to happen here in the Orange Bowl. Again, both of these teams will lose their conference championship games. That's my prediction as of right now. But like I said, I am going to make predictions next week and see who I think is going to win those conference championships. And again, Alabama, when I look at that SEC championship game against Georgia, that tells me that they're really going to compete in this game. And then Louisville, I think they're going to really compete as well against Florida State. I was kind of choosing Florida State pretty easily, but now I'm not really leaning towards, heavily over Florida State just because the injury to Jordan Travis. That could really bode well for Louisville as well if Jordan Travis is out for the rest of the season. But again, this is my projection here for the Orange Bowl. Alabama is the second best team in the SEC, and then Louisville here in the ACC as well. So both of these teams will lose their conference championships. And I think this is how it's going to play out. Orange Bowl here between Alabama and Louisville. And like I said, this will be the first time that these two teams will meet in the 2018 season since that 2018 season. And again, Louisville took a big loss to Alabama that year. So, again, this is my Orange Bowl projection. Alabama versus Louisville here in my New Year's Six Bowl projections here for the Orange Bowl. And those are my New Year's Six Bowl projections here heading into Week 13 of Rival Week here in the 2023 college football season. Again, we got game coming up tonight. It's Ole Miss and Mississippi State tonight. And then we got games coming up on Friday and then continuing on until Saturday. So we got a busy weekend coming up here in Week 13. Again, Rival Week is usually about the time where chaos starts to happen. But thank you for watching this video. Let me guys know what you think about these New Year's Six Bowls for Week 13 down in the comments below, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports Channel.